Hello, everyone. Welcome to Next Generation Saints. I'm your host, Nick Coons. Before we get started today, I want to go and remind everyone to like and subscribe to this podcast or YouTube channel, wherever you may be listening, mostly, and then click the notification bell at the bottom and like it so more people get to see this content. I'm not going to be doing anything like the Word of God here. Um, I'm going to talk about an experience I had yesterday, and I thought I'd share it with you guys. So to start it off, I guess, is and I try not to be too horribly political on this channel, but I thought I would talk about what happened. So yesterday, I live in the city of Surprise, Arizona. I'm not going to tell you exactly where, so don't even bother trying finding it. But I live in Surprise, Arizona. And over there, in the there was a notification that Department of Homeland Security was going to be purchasing or had purchased a building near to where I live, and that this has been called a detention center. Now, originally, we didn't know much about this detention center, or supposedly detention center. We heard from Arizona Family and ABC7 out here and whatnot, and local news stations saying that this was going to be a detention facility. I reached out, couldn't find anything that confirmed it. In fact, the mayor of Surprise, Arizona, had sent out a letter asking about more information about this, and apparently it is confirmed that it is a detention center for housing illegal aliens or illegal immigrants or whatever you want to call them. That's perfectly fine. I use all of the same thing, or you can say undocumented immigrants. I really don't care. They're not here legally, and it's supposed to be housing people temporarily in order to deport them. Now, that all sounds kind of scary because I live relatively near it. And my only concern was that a lot of the times when I see these kind of issues take place, we see a lot of, I call it protesting. A lot of left wing, I call them left wing lunatics. They show up, cause a scene. We all see it on the news. You see it on MSNBC, you see it on Fox, you see it on CNN, you see it on everywhere, social media. They show up, and it goes from protesting. God forgive me, I had some peanuts earlier. To a full out riot where they are basically throwing rocks, doing stuff, causing violence. And I call it a riot. It's no longer a protest. I know that a lot of the mainstream media will say these were protesters and they were protesting their own way. Protesting is you can stand with picket signs outside of a on public land and get on a megaphone or whatever and say, F the police, F ICE, F whatever you want. That's fine. That is a protest. I personally think it's ridiculous what they're arguing over, but they had the First Amendment right to be able to do so. So, anyways, there was a city hall meeting for Surprise, and so I figured I'd go down there. I always showed up too late to be able to stipulate my opinion about it, where it was, and my concerns. Again, my concerns was not that there was a detention center. I don't like the idea of it, but this is one of those things in life. There are things in life you can control, and other things you can't control. I can't control that the Department of Homeland Security purchased a building near, pretty close to where I live. I can't control that. I can't control that drivers on the street are terrible drivers. Beyond my control. I can't control my attitude. I can't control what I say. I can control my reaction to things to a large extent. I can control a lot of things, but these are some of the things I can't control. So when I went over to City Hall to stipulate my opinion, and I realized I wasn't being able to, I'm not a person that usually shows up at City Hall. I don't get involved in politics in this way, so it's rather new ground to me. I usually go like to ASU where I work with Ratio Christie, and I'll talk to students, I'll talk to professors or whoever walks by, and we'll engage in conversation. That's my usual forum. Or I go on YouTube and I find these videos. And I do I either make I have agreements with churches like North Bible and others that I can take their stuff and put on YouTube and whatnot. That's fine. Or I'll take reactionary videos, which is fine. But the public platform like politics is not mine. No, again, the only reason I was doing it is because it's relatively close to where I live and I was concerned. So anyway, so I show up there and I see it's kind of obvious where it's all taking place because there are protesters outside the door. So I decided to go ahead and just ask what was kind of going on. Have they heard anything? I wasn't seeking confrontation. I wasn't going to like the ASU where I'm like, I'm going to go and witness Jesus Christ. I was just there for general information. At first, when I showed up there, there was a bunch of people that looked like one Muslim gal who was there. There were a couple of people. One of them was a female. She had dark sunglasses on and a mask. So I'm guessing maybe Antifa was there. I can't confirm that. But I started asking questions, and originally, when I started asking questions, they were very open to it. Very like, oh, yeah, we can educate you and show you what we're talking about. But as soon as I started asking, like, for specifics on things, such as we talked about, the word genocide was thrown out there because I saw one of them holding a flag that said "Free Palestine" on it, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Well, I didn't start the conversation on Free Palestine apart from just recognizing there was a flag. That was like, "Oh yeah, it's Free Palestine." Kind of like a side comment, like talking about the weather. Oh, look, it's cloudy outside. Um, the conversation really got out of hand really quickly, and I started asking some questions just because I was curious about what on earth they were doing. And that was my mistake to do, to be honest with you. In hindsight, I should not have asked them any questions because the way the conversation went, and I understand just my perspective here, was absolutely atrocious. I was they said the word genocide. They used a generalized terminology of it. When I asked for anything specific, they said Israel is an apartheid state. I asked them what do they mean by that. Noticed I actually didn't ask them any questions about like saying they were wrong on a lot of stuff. The only time I said something I felt like that was a wrong answer was when they said we were sitting on stolen land. I couldn't even clarify my answer. A lot of these people on the political left, these Marxists, I should say how this conversation went was very much like if you ever watched Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith when Uh, Anakin goes to Mustafar and Obi-Wan shows up there. It's the final battle scene, and there's a conversation that was very much how all of this was perceived that I saw when Obi-Wan goes to Mustafar. Padme's right there, and Anakin's trying to convince her, we're gonna make this galaxy into our own image. I can overthrow the Chancellor. I'm more powerful than he is. Anakin's going crazy at this point. They all know he's going crazy. He's already killed younglings. He's a murderer. He's gone to the dark side. They all know this stuff. But when Obi-Wan shows up, he attempts to kill his wife. Anakin attempts to kill his wife by choking her. And Obi-Wan's first command is, let her go. He has to repeat himself again. Let her go. And Anakin says something that reminded me very much of what I encountered at that protest. Small one, but what I encountered. Don't lecture me on the ways of the dark side, Obi-Wan. I have brought peace, justice, and security to my new empire. That's what these people were saying to me. That they're going to bring peace, justice, and security to their new revolution, to their Marxist revolution. And when I started questioning, just like Obi-Wan did, I said, I'm for my republic, for the constitutional republic we live in. I'm for democracy. That's literally what I told them at one point. Now I'm not quoting word for word verbatim from Star Wars, but I was like, I am for democracy. I am for yes, we all have differing opinions. I agree that some things from the Democrats are good ideas and some things from Republicans are good ideas. I'm a more of an engineering mindset. We can take different ideas, debate them out, and try to figure out what works best for everyone as a representative constitutional republic. That's what I think. But what really got me and why I connected it to the Sith and to Star Wars was the one simple answer: you're neutral. Because they jumped over to the Palestinian argument. Do you agree with the Palestinians? Do you side with the pro-Palestinian movement or with the Jews? My answer was I mean, obviously, I side with God. I side that the Jews deserve to live in Israel. But I said to him, the problem is I can't give you a hard yes or no to anything because it's a complicated situation. I said there are things the Jews have done that are bad. There are things that the Palestinians have done that are bad. Both sides have done good. Both sides have done evil. That's the simple reality on the ground. Do I think that Israel's an apartheid state? No. But I told them I don't really have an opinion as much as I want to on the Palestinian movement. And that's not even why I was there in the first place. And they said, my neutrality kills people. So I asked them, what, well, who did I kill with my neutrality? They just got very angry at me. These people I came across reminded me of what Anakin had said. If you're not with me, you're our enemy. And that's literally what they told me. If you're not with us, you are the enemy. And Obi-Wan's words rang in my head. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. And he pulled out his lightsaber. Now, the one thing I would notice here, because last night I couldn't sleep too well. I was up pretty late. I watched that scene. Obi-Wan didn't jump off his star speeder thing or whatever the heck it's called and just start lightsabering the living daylights out of Anakin. He tried to reason with him, talk with him. But as soon as Anakin had said, "You're not with me, you're my enemy," the conversation was over. The reason being is there's no room for negotiation or conversation or talk. I'm used to going out and talking to people, having a conversation with them, engaging with them. I like that. I like the civil dialogue. Even if we don't agree, I enjoy it. I think I learned something. I hope they learned something. It's that simple. But what I came across were people who were so brainwashed, so deluded, so I'm trying to figure out how to say this. They were very clear to me that they're willing to die and kill for their worldview. Their Marxist revolution, they're willing to die for it, they're willing to kill for it. They didn't threaten me directly. So, I mean, the police were right there, too. There were a surprise police department. I'm grateful that they were there. But they did not stipulate directly to me that they wanted to kill me. Because I would have told the officer straight up, hey, this guy's actually threatening to kill me. Could you repeat that? And then have the officer place him under arrest. I would have gladly done that because I believe that in civil dialogue, we don't threaten to kill each other. That's not acceptable. I would never do that to someone. Don't do that to me. But they're willing to die and kill for their worldview. I don't really have words for this. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. I realize what Obi-Wan was saying is because situations are complicated. There's not necessarily a black and white picture out of it. That's why we study it. That's why we talk. That's why we reason. But if the answer is you're with me or you're my enemy, you're a Sith. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, a capitalist or a Marxist. That is a horrible way to look at things. There was no room for conversation. They attacked me over and over, accusing me of things I have never spoken of. They accused me of being a supporter of child pornography. Never happened. They told me, accused me of obviously that I'm a white person. They were very racist towards me. Oh, you're a white person, therefore you're born with privilege. And they were using very colorful language. I'll just use it briefly here. They said, fuck all white people. I don't use that language willy nilly. They were telling me that I was responsible for all the genocide of white people. They said that since I don't side with them, that I side with the pedophiles, which I found ironic. I didn't say anything, but I found it ironic since they're the ones that want to use transgenderism and push what they call MAP, which is minor attracted persons on people, pedophilia, in other words. And then they accused me of supporting those on the Epstein list. I don't even know all those who are on the Epstein list, to be honest with you. I'm not really hardcore researching into it. That doesn't mean I'm not aware of what's going on the Epstein list, but my chief concern is taking care of my wife, my family, my household, providing for our needs, doing my channel, whatnot. They accused me of colonialism, though I've never participated in colonialism. They accused me of my ancestors came from England. They didn't. I didn't tell them where they came from, but I can guarantee you my ancestors did not come from England. When they said that they were sitting on stolen land, I tried to clarify because I realized I did something stupid. I said, we're not sitting on stolen land. Here in Arizona, it's not stolen. And when I tried to clarify it, they just keep cutting me off left, right, and center and mocking me heavily. These people didn't want to have a conversation. They were in their tribalistic mindset. The tribe that had to be defended was Marxism. The tribe they had to defend over and over. And what scared me is one of these gals, apart from throwing insults at me that I act like a first grader, apparently, was she's a teacher. I didn't catch her name. Didn't take a picture of this person, but they were educators. Now, I can't tell you that the school district can let anybody go for political reasons. Like if you're a Marxist or you're liberal or you're conservative, I don't believe that you should be able to lose your job. But I would look at parents on the individual side and say, would you really want your students, your children, being taught by people who act that way, who hate America, everything about it? Hate America, hate your values, hate you, and literally hate you. You've done nothing wrong to them, but they hate you because you're white. It was ironic too because there was a black guy there who was telling me he got arrested like 14 times. I was like, "Oh wow," And he goes, "Yeah, I didn't even do anything. I just got arrested." I seriously doubted that because police. I've never really come across police that have ever done that. They asked me, "Do I always support all the law enforcement?" Because I'm a white guy. Do I always support law enforcement? I informed them that my support of law enforcement is conditional. If you have a bad cop, the cop should be arrested and sentenced to jail. I think everyone agrees on that. If they have good cops, I believe that those good cops should be promoted and keep doing their jobs. They are fulfilling justice and law enforcement and doing it according to the letter of the law. They got angry about that. Like they were breaking the law for civil rights. I'm like, well, to a degree they were. Yeah, in the South, but they were exercising their First Amendment constitutional rights, so they had the right to do that. But yeah, I was accused of many things. Many things I didn't say. They all look at me and go, "You're a big Trump supporter." I never stipulated my support for or against or anything against the president. What scared me was how much they're willing to color me as a horrible color, right? Racism. As a horrible, evil white man. And they don't even know anything about me. Hardly anything. They told me I was deplorable. They told me that I was uneducated. Again, I couldn't even finish a sentence. And the ironic part is they said that they were so full of love and compassion. They're wearing t-shirts that says we believe in human rights. They had t-shirts saying we believe in love is love. And here they are treating me, and they were against racism, by the way. We're all against racism. But ironically, they treated me the most racially because I was a white man. So only a part of the conversation was about the detention facility. They asked me why I was concerned about it. I said I was just concerned that there was going to be riots that happened afterwards because I said, well, we see it on social media, and they got really aggravated at me at that. They're like, "Oh, you only get all you stupid white guy." Yeah, that's what they call me, a stupid white guy. Get all my information from social media and mainstream media. I said, "Well, I mean, that's where a lot of our information comes from." And they go, "Don't you ever come to protests?" I go, "Not really, because I have to do a thing called work. I can't get all the way to downtown Phoenix. I'm not paid to go. That's the simple reality. I don't have the money, the gas, the resources. I'm not going to go out there. I got to go work. I got to pay the mortgage. I got to pay my bills. Got to put food on the table. I got things I have to do." So they were like, "Oh yeah, you're stupid. You're stupid because you don't go to all the protests." I guess so. But why would I want to join? Because they kept on saying you should join this. Because neutrality. They said you are if you're neutral or not with them, you're on completely the wrong side of history, and history remember you as a Nazi. Really? Wow. That's right. I was called a Nazi multiple times. I kind of figured that was coming, but I just realized I shouldn't even be there. What was I expecting from these people? They're the most racist, sexist. They are fascist. They are Nazis. I've read the Communist Manifesto. I read Mein Kampf from Hitler. No, I didn't read and agree with any of the stuff, but I read those things because I want to understand their mindset, understand what took place, what their thinking is, and I find that the political left, um, is the very thing is like Obi-Wan said to Anakin, "You have become the very thing that you seek to destroy." Plain and simple. Again, my positions on politics have been very strong on in the past. I've been very strong on saying my support of Donald Trump or my support on different things. My opinions have changed drastically over the years. I do not believe in voting for Republicans or Democrats. I believe that this goes much further than that. That this is far more metaphysical. That this is about this is a battle. We do not battle against flesh and blood, but against spirits and principalities. I believe to vote biblically. Now, if the Republicans side mostly with a biblical valued system, then I vote Republican. If the Democrats start following more of a biblical principled system, I vote Democrat. It's really that simple. And if neither side, I try to figure out which one is best. It just shocked me. I guess it shocked me. I was, I guess maybe I shouldn't be so shocked. But to see what took place, my wife was encouraging me to make this podcast episode, to make this episode. I'll put it on YouTube as well. And I'm grateful for the surprise BD being there. I'm grateful for the open dialogue that we can have in our society. But people like this who do the free Palestine, and I think it was ironic because I thought she was a Muslim gal till she opened her mouth and started talking and had a masculine tone to it. So I was like, I think he who was pretending to be a she was a guy. And ironically, this guy, I'm assuming it's a guy because every indication to me after they opened their mouth, started talking, was this was a male, was wearing a burqa, was wearing Muslim women attire. I just want to put that in perspective here. But anywho, I would have loved to preach the gospel at them, but I had a feeling that they wouldn't want to listen anyways. So I don't think I'll ever go again to another city hall meeting unless absolutely beyond necessary and I'm representing something beyond my own concerns. But I don't know. I just wanted to share my experience with you guys. Let me know in the comments below. Have you come across this problem as well? Have you encountered this? I'm not saying to become Republican. I'm not saying to become Democrat. I'm not saying to become the far left or the far right. I'm not saying any of those things. I always want to just encourage you to follow Jesus Christ, to follow the truth of the gospel. And when it comes down to politics, please don't vote based on tribes. Please don't say, I'm red all the way or blue all the way or any of that. Please don't do that. What we should be saying is the political party I associate with is going to be primarily Jesus. In fact, it's going to be all Jesus. And if a political party starts reflecting Jesus back at us, back at me, they have my vote. And if they don't have my vote. So please, in the future, never vote politically. Vote biblically. And please don't let your identity become like this. Don't become like a revolutionary that you're just going to be out there doing this stuff. Please don't. But I encourage you to watch that scene. Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, where Anakin meets up with Obi-Wan in their dialogue. Because that is literally what I came across. Absolutism. Absolutism, which I may be just rambling now. I probably. But it scares me to death when someone has absolutism, when the situation isn't that way, and they're willing to kill and die for what they believe, even though their belief could be, and I guess I shouldn't necessarily say that, but when they're not open for the dialogue. I don't know. Let me know what you think. If I'm right, if I'm wrong, if you followed my incoherent ramblings about what happened, and let me know in the comments below. Agree, disagree, send your questions or comments or snarks. I'm all aboard. Till next time. So, if you like this one, go ahead, like, subscribe, click that notification bell so you get notified every single time I upload a new video. And share this with your friends, your family, your coworkers, believers, especially non-believers. That's how more people can engage in this type of conversation. And until next time we meet again, whether it be here on YouTube or on Spotify, may God richly bless y'all, my dearly beloved.